Hello everybody and welcome back to week number 5 of the Quake Pro League, where our last match of EU/CIS is about to take place. It's going to be the world champ k1llsen going up against the people's champ in coollerz. Now we've seen this matchup once or twice before.
Yep.
In the QPL itself, it is always one of the most anticipated because the question's always going to be, what does coollerz do different? Because right now it feels like k1llsen kind of owns coollerz soul a little bit in competitive. You know, the QuakeCon Grand Finals, or I suppose it's more accurate to call it the championship match. You know, the final match that was played at QuakeCon wasn't necessarily a Grand Finals because it was a day of players that had spent all of the 3 days or 2 or 3 days beforehand playing in these intense round robins where everyone in the QPL fought everyone in a round robin format, and that was an intense set of games that just never ended, and it all went into the final stage where, ultimately the amount of victories you obtained led you to that moment, and the two most dominant players in that round robin were coollerz and k1llsen. k1llsen taking that final match at QuakeCon in extremely dominant fashion. And, he's gone into the QPL with the biggest target on his back. And the matches he's had so far have continued to be excellent. He's not been undefeated, though, which is what interests me the most. And, that's these kind of plays. Getting a play like that versus a player like coollerz is just, in itself, a huge accomplishment. That you can take it to the world's greatest and prove that you are the best of the bunch.
Yeah. The thing is, there's a very easy way to describe k1llsen, and it's the fact that he is absolutely sick at Quake. Like, this man is unreal when it comes down to it. If you just want a 101 masterclass of someone that individually is so talented and displays it with such grace, such elegance, right? And the way they navigate around the map, the way they approach firefights, the way they systematically read what you're going to do, and already 2 steps ahead, that is literally k1llsen's playstyle. Like, watching his POV is such a great way to just look at Quake and be like, okay, this is it. This is it right here, Chief.
I think it's almost like obnoxiously efficient.
Oh yeah.
That's essentially how you would call his game plan, where he rarely makes like a crucial mistake, and every decision that he makes is kind of complemented by this ridiculous aim. Like, k1llsen's rail is like right up there as one of the most enjoyable things to watch in, I might even say, like, at this point, like, all of esports. Do you know what I mean? Like, when k1llsen's on fire and he's got a rail, it's like you're watching a human aim hack. This is a human cheat right here. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And that's actually not why he's called the cheater. Fun fact, it's for another reason, I think. But either way, I call him the champ because that's exactly what he is. But the story that goes into QPL now is, how consistent can k1llsen remain? Because, I'm sure you guys and girls at home have heard this story before. DJ Wheat had remarked on it at QuakeCon. We'd kind of talked to it a whole bunch, both at QuakeCon and throughout the early weeks that we had. When we talk about k1llsen, is that he's had one of the, I think, the most personal journeys in all of Quake Champions, because he wasn't amazingly successful at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But he knew he could obtain better and bigger things. And he was a very harsh critic on himself. And he even said to us, I had a conversation with him at QuakeCon after the very first one in 2017. And he said to me, I feel like I need to learn how to play Quake Champions. I feel like I'm playing Quake, but I need to learn the stuff in Quake Champions that is there to be used and really capitalized on. And I'll be back. He was like, make no mistake, I'll be back. And 2 years later, he came back, and he was just, there was one of the most dominant Quake Champions performances that we've seen so far. But that said, coollerz, we can never undersell this guy. Coollerz has been around since some of us have even been alive, and that is a scary statistic to have, because it's Quake, right? Quake has one of the absolute richest competitive histories in all of esports, and coollerz's been around almost since the very beginning. He's legacy through and through.
Well, that's the crazy thing, right? It's like, since the dawn of Quake, there has been one consistency, and it's players like coollerz that have been there, basically the glue of the scene that hold it all together. Because not only are they so incredible, but it's the way they present themselves, being such a dominant player that can just walk in and Shill shows all of that prestige, all of that sort of overall just excellence that he absolutely radiates, right? He's someone that just is a pillar of interest in the Quake community because the way he plays, but the way he approaches the game that I don't think really has been matched in his sort of pizzazz.
I also feel like coollerz is almost completely immune to burnout. You know, how many players do we see go to events and tournaments and they'll take time off because they just need to recharge their batteries, and coollerz doesn't need to do that. He can go straight home and stream for another 13 hours and just never end. You know, the excellence never stops in Cooler Town. But we have got the picks and bans ready to go. We can see what's been selected. Quite interesting. We're starting off with Blood Run, and I think this is a map that both of these players are exceptionally strong at. k1llsen is, you know, his rail on Blood Run is stuff of legend. Corrupted Keep up next. We can see the k1llsen and the BJ, and the final map, Sorlag versus Visor on the Molten Falls.
I like seeing the Sorlag pick. I like a bit of Sorlag cooler coming out. I think that one actually could give us some fun moments towards the end of this. Obviously the BJ as well. You always see the Akimbo atrocities that are served up. All in all, obviously, we know how good this matchup can be. Again, off the back of the veto, it looks like it's got that extra caveat to it. It's genuinely going to be a hell of a game. This one is actually going to be complete carnage. If you thought the previous matchup was crazy, this is going to top trump that.
I mean, Blood Run and the matchups that we're going to be seeing champion-wise, I am once more expecting a pretty sort of like calm match. That said, we kind of expected to see that, you know, the first time these guys played at QuakeCon, and that was very much a result that I don't think anyone was expecting. We weren't expecting it to be one-sided, and we also weren't expecting, I think, the maps themselves to go the way they did, which was just k1llsen just almost playing one-player games. It almost felt like when they first clashed at QuakeCon this year, that even though it was the championship match, you know, the match to determine who was the winner of QuakeCon, it didn't really feel like coolerz was all there. There was just something very, very off about the whole performance, and it just almost seemed like he was mentally checked out, or maybe he was expecting k1llsen to play a certain way and was maybe being a bit stubborn to adapt to it, because he was just running around corners, straight into frags, and it's almost like, bro, like, calm down a little bit, you know, like, there's so much time to work with, and it almost like felt like he was expecting k1llsen to just magically stop doing what was working. But that's not one of those times, and there's been time to reflect since then. They've clashed in the QPL since then as well. And we'll see how things turn around. Cooler with the immediate clash on the gauntlet, and k1llsen with an explosive beginning. What the hell was that?
Well, that's certainly one way to kick things off here, Ryan. I think it does go to show that this one is actually going to be pumped full of absolute anarchy, and it looks to continue as well. The railgun is popping off. It's already got a smoking barrel as coollerz gets a face full of it, tagging him up. But this does mean he's going to just back off and try and go for a bit of a stack building session. Roams around to try and get himself into a better spot. k1llsen timing it well, though, to pick up the Mega. He is going to be happy off the back of that one.
I mean, the commotion that took place at the very beginning did allow a pretty natural delay to exist in between Heavy and Mega. Issue is, coolerz is immediately out of control. And k1llsen, you know, he's very intelligent going in with the Ranger pick here for Blood Run, because the Dire Orb gives you that verticality that most champions don't have, with the exception of going in, and he's seen the Ghost Walk. What's the read? He makes the perfect call! Chases it down, an easy 2-0, and, well, just like that, we're 1 minute in, 2 frags have already gone.
Wow. Nice
rocket for the information. He knows that he should have undone all of coolerz armor too, and he even goes for the flick. Ready for the champions here, ready for the wall jump.
The predictions right here, right now, already, from what we've been given from k1llsen, have just been such a high caliber. Just tier 1 level predictions coming out, and he is already adding even more to that as he just dominates. Ryan, 3 frags have been picked up in a matter of seconds, 1 minute and 30 on the clock, and he has done so much damage. At this point, it's unprecedented that he's going to carry on as well. k1llsen is absolute machine.
And he knew that he would have no armor. He knew he could chase it down. A perfect Dire Orb to chase. What's the read going to be? Is he going to be right again? Now he's going to get some audio here. Get some cues. Hits another rail. Doesn't need the rail anymore, and coolerz knows it. coolerz going to try and do everything he can to get out. No, k1llsen chases it again. This is an absolute dismantling of coolerz right now. Absolute madness. Finally misses a rail, but, I mean, how much damage has he done up until this point? This is absolute insanity, but also the level of control that k1llsen's been able to establish off the back of this. And I think a huge part of this is just, it's perfect champion positions. How many times does k1llsen play that he's gone with what you would call a bad champion pick? It always seems to work. Cooler going for the Hail Mary, tries to perforate. I mean, that's a big read. It would have technically got him straight back into the fight, would have sort of reduced a lot of the stack. That rail was ridiculous, and that one was even better. This is a clinic of Quake champions right now.
It's just ridiculous, right? Cooler, he's a man that might be stone cold, but the only reason he's stone cold right now is because k1llsen's leaving him with no pulse. He isn't getting to survive for any matter of time. The second there is an opportunity for k1llsen to strike and decimate him, he does, but it's so systematic. Already 7 kills. This is just a crazy lead, and in all the fights it just looks like he has the upper hand each and every time. Again, he wants to try and get a pickup, but this time Cooler finally makes his stamp on the board, but it's for nothing! The instant response is there. k1llsen, somebody stop this lunatic.
That was literally the rudest dialogue I've ever seen. That was k1llsen saying, "You think you're going to get back into this map, mate? Nah, here's my plan B. Eat this dialogue." I mean, you understand, like, Cooler went for the super aggressive play, and off the back of it, he established fantastic, control. He got the heavy. He had loads of armor to work with. That should have been a stack that he could establish something that could mount a comeback. But the dire orb, the instant kill taking away. What an answer. Now, we said that k1llsen rarely makes a bad choice. Oh my word!
That's
and that
crazy.
trade, it's only ever going to benefit k1llsen in that situation. It's now 9-2. Every time Cooler has had an opportunity to mount a comeback, it has been like straight up daylight robbery. Someone call the police!
It really is just like watching someone that has a human war hack at this point. All of his predictions are just so unreal. Like, just alone to take into account the shots that he's had with the tri-bolt, they've been blissful. Each and every time he's doing enough damage, the rails have been on point, the rockets are just crazy. Finally, Cooler will get another frag, but at this point, it's not even that much of an impact. He's just given himself so much of a barge pole of a lead. Oh, the battle for the Mega, but the rockets are coming through. Oh, no, not again.
I mean, he knows the Ghost Walk's been used. What has he got to fear? Let's take that extra damage. And unfortunately for Cooler, I think he was semi-looking for the telefrag off that one, and it almost happened, actually. Almost stood right within that player model, but the moment he re-emerged and k1llsen had to stack and the rockets hit their mark the way they did, it was almost bad for Cooler that he was spotted and didn't get a telefrag there. It's a tall order to ask for something that is normally so unlikely, but... And he is a perfect, absolute perfection. No need for a rail here when Cooler is as weak as he is. And this is absolute insanity right now. Misses the rail, but goes in for the kill anyway. Knows he has the launching stack. And what's Nick's going to do fresh off the spawn? He had to try and get the rocket. There was nothing else to take.
He's just so skilled. The way he navigates, the way he calculates any firefight that he's going to get himself into. Just all of the duels are just incredible. k1llsen is a massacre. Just embodied in a human being. Somehow he's just this tornado of pain that just consistently picks you up and beats you around. And he is looking to do even more. He's already got a crazy lead, but he is not done yet. We're coming up on the 6-minute mark, listening out for the audio cues. Cooler's going to be bouncing his way around, and k1llsen is on the hunt once again.
It's a delicious rail. Looking for more where that came from. Heard the rocket jump, so he's going to know, hey, it did a bit of damage, but ultimately he's trading out for the heavy, right? So only so much calculation could be done there. What is the elephant in the room is just this ridiculous difference in frags. That was a wonderful rocket, though. But k1llsen, he's not going to be super scared about this just yet because he has such a crazy advantage. You're not going to be super worried, and oh my god, even hitting that defensive rail. It'll make Cooler maybe have to second guess an advance. He's timing the heavy, needs to collect it. Cooler doesn't want to even mess with it.
Ooh.
Gets himself away. Wonderful rocket boost. The timings of everything is in his head, even how long it takes Cooler to go around the teleporter. Misses the rail, but again, stays alive. And all this is going to do is just waste valuable seconds. Misses the rail and Cooler punishes. But he needs 10 more of those and expect k1llsen to get no frags.
Yeah, that's the rough part, right? Is that all comes into account that the only way he actually gets back into the game is if he goes on an absolute ridiculous roll and if k1llsen stagnates, something that he doesn't normally do. He normally picks up even more pace as the game goes on, thriving off of the previous damage that he's dealt out. And right now, that's looking to be the case. 7 minutes here. Oh, the battle of the rockets as they both get close to each other. They're firing down. The LG's going to come out. Coollerz wants to get the extra frag on k1llsen, but he's being tagged up. It scared him. He didn't want to overcommit off the back of it, Ryan.
And he second-guessed at the last second. No, k1llsen was in big trouble, but the problem we're facing is that as long as k1llsen can retreat and restack, he's just wasting valuable seconds. You know, there's not a lot of this map left to go, and coollerz has 10 frags to even this out. You know, is this even possible against someone like k1llsen, who the only reason some of these chases are happening is because k1llsen is finally starting to miss a few shots?
That's not something you say often as well. That's the scary factor. Those 3 missed rails were the first we've really seen missed, but he's going to try and make up for that. Close by, suspecting the push, but that doesn't work out well. He gets a taste of his own medicine there as he gets exploded from the inside out.
And it's easy for coollerz because he's not having to use any ammo, he's not having to take any damage. That was just a bonus kill if I've ever seen it, and now he's looking to get a little bit of pressure. Problem is, he has to try and maintain control as well, and sometimes taking that heavy, you get caught out of location once with the heavy, and you know, you've given up a frag. Coollerz can't afford to give up one single frag. Not only does he have this crazy task, you know, k1llsen can just run away if he wants to now. He has the map to work with, he's going to sit there and just listen out for information. And oh, from the shadows! I also think that coollerz might have tried to mask any audio of his ghost walk by just firing a rocket at the same time. And that might have been actually why he caught k1llsen off guard. k1llsen was not ready for it at all, thanks to that rocket, and now he's going to try and land a hit. k1llsen gets one more frag, and I mean, I feel like this map is already over, but frags like that don't help the situation.
No, I mean, at the very least, right, if you take it as a couple of confidence frags there for coollerz to at least reset his mental state a little bit and just keep him actually in the game, that's probably the best case scenario the kills he's been getting. Possibly just trying to beat down on k1llsen, style him a little bit if he can to keep his mental state high. But the big factor is that k1llsen is just still looking sickeningly good at Quake as ever as he carries on, just pummeling his way through. The pain train is in full spin right now, Ryan.
Dominant map number 1. You know, k1llsen managed to... k1llsen? Oh
k1llsen.
My god.
That's
that
nice.
was... what a combination.
That's when they do the fusion dance.
Yeah, I would pay good money to see them do the fusion, you know.
That'd be pretty good.
I would, and I'm sure the Quake community would as well. But you know what? That's a story for another time, as k1llsen is going to take map number 1 versus coollerz, who I think was able to stop the bleeding just a little bit at the end of the map, but it was, I mean, it's the pure definition of too little too late, isn't it? I mean, look at the difference of the frags there. Speaks for itself, and what a hell of a way to kick up number 1.
I mean, he certainly left a message, right? That's the royal stamp of k1llsen, firmly impressed onto the forehead of coollerz, leaving him with a mark that he will not forget anytime soon. Just the opening to that game alone was ridiculous. It showed how effective k1llsen can be, just the level of understanding that this man has to constantly beat down on you, but always have those percent advantages in every firefight he goes for. He will not take a fight unless he's at least 90% confident that he is going to win it. He's so clever in the way he approaches the game.
But I also think, you know, we looked at the stats there. There wasn't a huge difference in between Mega and Heavy. You know, k1llsen had got a few more of those because I think he was just in a better position. You know, his use of the Dire Orbs was absolutely immaculate. But at the same time, those heavy pickups, how many of those heavy pickups that coollerz got actually resulted in a death or a unfavourable situation, forced to run away, and the frag was just picked up a little bit later? It is a huge risk to try and take the heavy, and early on, I mean, this momentum and this match was decided, you know, before we even hit the 5-minute mark. I think it was so crazy dominant, and it was combat. The combat skills from k1llsen absolutely blew us away, and in many ways, actually, I think it's why he is the world champion right now, because rarely when k1llsen takes a fight can he actually lose it. He just seems to have this amazing way of just hitting the rail when he needs to, hitting the direct rocket when he needs to, and it's all off the back of just really lovely decisions. Even rockets like that one, in the midst of the chaos, he's still got a trade, and it feels like the moment you have to come back, he still takes it away from you.
Well, the fact is as well that's quite scary is it just looks like you are always basically in an awkward position with your stack because k1llsen is constantly dealing damage to you. Even as you're just navigating around the map, attempting to try and gain more stack or gain yourself some weapons to work with in your arsenal, he's hitting shots with a tri-bolt from miles away. He's landing rockets that you wouldn't even expect to hit. It's just these crazy plays that seem to always work out in his favor.
But I feel like at the same time it was a combination of coollerz. We've seen this versus k1llsen before. I just feel like there's something that coollerz is struggling with against k1llsen in particular, where it's almost like he's struggling to find k1llsen's rhythm. You know, like there are so many weird positions where he's just getting taken by... It's rare that someone can take coollerz by surprise as often as k1llsen manages to. You know, coollerz is so famously known as being like one of, if not the player that just has the brain in this side of the world, that just plays purely on just mechanics, control, like this methodical level of play where he takes minimal risks and just plays so efficiently. But against k1llsen, there are so many chances, there's so many like situations where he's just being surprised all the time, and he's rarely expecting k1llsen to be where he is. And like, bam, there's the entry rocket, there's the LG, there's a whole bunch of rails here and there, and it's... You just don't really see it versus coollerz. It's surprising that it's also still happening too. Like, you know, we saw this at QuakeCon. We saw it when they collided online in QPL, and it's just happening again.
Well, it's the fact as well, like, at this point, when you look at the way k1llsen approaches the game, he should just be called the librarian, because he is just reading everything you're doing and knowing what you're going to do when you haven't even decided it yet. Like, it's so nice in the way he predicts the game and the way he understands the flow of the match. It's crazy to watch, but it's a different map, it's a different storyline. As we switch things up, let's get back into it. k1llsen versus coollerz, map 2, what is going to be the outcome? I'm
curious to see if it's going to be similar to Blood Run. Honestly, because I'm just keeping an eye on coollerz on this map because he's had such a hard time against k1llsen. And it almost feels like exclusively k1llsen that coollerz has struggled with. And yeah, he's looking for it now. You can see, I mean, he can literally see his gun sticking out of the corner, so in that instance, he's not going to get surprised. But better than nothing. We're going to take him mega anyway, and the disengage might come down. k1llsen knew he had a little bit of time to work with to take the heavy, of which it's already been taken. And a quick disengage there. coollerz trying to keep him away from the LG room. As long as he can keep this really important resource, confidently can dodge those rockets. Denying LG is it's such an important strategy on this map. The moment you take it away from someone, you know, they're stuck to either machine gun or slower projectiles, you know, like rocket launcher. And as you can see, k1llsen's trying bit by bit to work his way in. Allowed himself to run in just a little bit, and he's trying to deny coollerz this heavy now. See how this fight goes. The dual wield popped just to put the fear in him, I think, and secure that heavy.
It's a bit of a different pace of game compared to what we saw previously. But coollerz is definitely in a better position now with the stack, although he doesn't really have that much in his firepower. He's only got the lightning gun really as a actual effective weapon to work with, although k1llsen looks like he wants to try and turn the dials and go for a bit of a paradigm shift and actually initiate the combat. In the meantime, coollerz's been able to scavenge himself a rocket to work with and really goes all in on the aggressive play. It's a bit of a Goomba stomp on top of his head, but he keeps himself alive, sending out those warning rockets. They chase directly into each other. They're going to give each other a hug, but the deathly hug will come off the back of coollerz's rocket straight to the lips of k1llsen.
Wonderful patience too, hitting that opening rocket. Just waiting the time it needed to take to knock him back down, set up that guaranteed follow-up! But k1llsen knows a thing or two about guaranteed follow-ups as well. The patience. There's a lot of discipline required to just sit there, take any of the damage that comes your way, just to hit that second rocket that you know is going to hit its mark. Speaking of which, here comes another rocket duel, 1v1. Misses the mid-air, but coollerz is very weak. I'm nervous that he's running around this corner. It's kind of obvious, and that's a 1 HP. coollerz has to get out of there. Regenerating, obviously, thanks to the BJ passive, but anything's better than nothing. Very low on the armor department, though, and that was an easy rocket. Barely needed any damage to seal the deal there. Gets a favorable spawn. coollerz trapped between a rock and a hard place. In this case, it's a turret instead. And oh no, that was an unfortunate spawn.
This is when it gets scary, though. You've already started to give k1llsen momentum, room to breathe, room to excel, and just absolutely run away with things. And that's what he does. Once you give him that open space, he just sprints and does not stop. And he's going to look to try and carry on with that sprint now and get even further into the lead. The turret gets chucked out. He does go down, though, as coollerz shows off that stopping power with a shotty.
I really like that choice of the SSG. You know, so often players can sometimes, I suppose, almost like underestimate its damage output. You know, you see that they've not spawned near an LG and they may not be near the rocket. So let's try and be a little bit confident going for a fight, of which Cooler gets another kill. So good. But then bam, out of nowhere, here comes the super shotgun, the Daisy medal, and some of the highest damage that we've ever seen. Chases down k1llsen again, manages to secure not only another frag, but actually the first place. The dual wield melts away. Thank you very much, new coollerz. And he's going to die again. 5-3. Cooler looking real good right now, Jackie.
Yeah, this is actually sick as well. coollerz woke. He's just in the game right now and living his movie. This is what we need to see. This is the battle between the two gods actually going down right now. Wants to destroy the turret, taking a little bit of damage from it. It's going to spook him ever so slightly. Trying to go for those upwards rockets and slap him upside the head. Barely missing as they get back into the combat. The suicide comes through from Cooler, which isn't ideal, but he still has the one frag lead to play with. He's also going to have that akimbo coming off cooldown in a matter of seconds as well. So if he wants to try and go in with that big cooler energy, it can happen soon.
He's got plenty of rockets too. I think that's what he's keeping an eye on so far. Yeah, that dual wield once more. I think it's more just the threat of the dual wield he was using, but sometimes man walks right into a dude holding 2 rocket launchers and says, I don't really fear you, to be honest, mate, and I'm going to stick around anyway. That's exactly what k1llsen decided to do. Whether it really came with much reward, I guess it remains to be seen. We are going to see the Mega just about to spawn, which is why they're starting to move towards LG room once more. But the trap gets sprung, and can he get hit by the mid-air? Missing a few, but the final one doesn't. That was interesting indeed. Now 4-4, deadlocked here, Jackie. Things are looking nice and close now.
Yeah,
oh, what a rocket!
Such a nice game.
Another one!
The juggle. That's going to leave him with a bit of a sore head in the morning. At this point, though, 5 minutes has been taken through, and they are really both playing their hearts out at this point. 5-4. Again, Cooler being tagged up and looking to be fragged up if k1llsen can get what he wants.
Now we're finally starting to see something that would have resembled this engage, but the dual wield, I fear, maybe popped a little bit too early there. Because now, what's Cooler going to use on the heavy? I guess we'll soon find out, but the rockets have been super good. Going in for the SSG again. k1llsen knows he's dancing with the devil going through that teleporter and opts not to. Now he's confident he's nowhere near. He's then going to start going towards those small health bubbles. I do love the fact that on Corrupted Keep, there's so many little ways to sort of restack back up. He's not 100% dependent on the Mega and the Heavy. There are other ways to go. It's just at a little bit less reward.
Well, k1llsen already still starting to command, looks to really do some damage from above. That's going to be the turret drop. He has gone for the dual wield. It will give him the extra damage. As we know, k1llsen, he is not scared of it. He still continuously takes the firefight head on each and every time. It won't matter as he is getting these small tags out, trying to soften up Cooler, leave him with not too much sustain to play with. So when he fully commits with the LG, he can actually get the frag, gets him solo, but Cooler backs off, grabs the bubbles, grabs the armor, puts himself in a much better position now to re-aggress. That is going to be the HP secured there by k1llsen, but the kill is what is picked up by Cooler. 5-5 apiece.
Yeah, k1llsen made a big play to kind of go in there. Understood that there was a risk he was going to lose the frag, but as long as he can get the frag perhaps and then maybe steal away the heavy, it would have been well worth it. Unfortunately, in that case, it wasn't at all. The LG was far too superior, and now Cooler. I mean, it's a constant trade. Both players seem to have very similar objectives. They're going for the same kind of pickups, and it's always a battle for who gets it. But Cooler in a terrible position, kind of just randomly just getting caught by those rockets around the corner. Seems almost like an unnecessary frag to give up. Very unfortunate stuff indeed. Ooh. But another one coming through, and k1llsen stealing a second one. Ah, this is, yeah, not a good turn of events here for Cooler, unfortunately. I feel like it's been nice and back and forth, but they felt like 2 quite silly kills to give up.
This is when you get worried as well, especially if you're Cooler, because at this point, time's starting to run out. k1llsen's starting to just get even better as you give him more and more opportunities. Oh no, that's so rough. He goes down there. Not only does he lose another life and concede that kill over to k1llsen, he also gives away the Mega. He gets k1llsen instantly back in the game, and at this point, this is where things really start to go from bad to worse.
And there's not a lot of time left. That said, I mean, this is Corrupted Keep. There's not a lot of map here. So running away in this particular matchup too can be quite hard. And neither of these champions known for their, I think, movement. Springs the trap on Cooler, who doesn't even know where the hell that came from. Absolute destruction. And a really unfortunate spawn. Saving grace. Thankfully, he got the rocket launcher. But k1llsen knows he can push him away with that one. And at this point, doesn't even need another frag. He just needs to waste some time, needs to get some more of that stack back up. And I think also, just keep that vision. He knows the heavy's been taken. He should have the timer on it as well. And now, keeping him in LG room. How does he escape? Okay, comes through. But just a lot of respect. k1llsen has completely changed. He was chasing for 75% of this map, and now he's immediately going back to the opposite effect. He knows he can win now. He has a sizable lead. Gets some fantastic entry damage there with the LG. And at this stage, k1llsen has to ask himself the question, what do I want to do to run away? What man for dinner tonight?
Well, backstab bonanza worked well for him. And now it's just going to be the delay sandwich that he has to give to his opponent here to walk away with the victory on this one. There's a minute left. The chances of coollerz actually being able to somehow do anything to clutch it out are so marginal that all k1llsen's got to do is carry on doing what he's doing best right now. Just chilling out, taking it easy, kicking back, relaxing. And if he can, adding an extra frag just to walk away with a nice round 10.
Gonna get the Mega. And in this instance, normally when someone's trying to play that defensive game, they're the ones that kind of give up the control. coollerz brings a trap, but again, you're challenging the damage of the rockets. Get some wonderful LG up the jump pad. Now, if he gets 3 good spawns, there's hope. But he needs it now. And he actually ran past k1llsen just then. And I think that one instance where he missed him, I mean, that might have been it. He sees him, but he's too far away to capitalize. Gets the rocket jump, catches head on the ceiling. k1llsen falls down. Can he trade it? No, he can't. This map just finished. Absolutely, completely.
It's got to be done. It's got to be dusted. Surely there's no way at this point because there's only 9 seconds left on the clock. He's just got so much of a lead with the 4 additional frags. This is going to be the 2-0 already picked up as k1llsen is just looking so divine right now. Everything is just very well executed. The form is fantastic. The movement's there. The understanding of when to go hyper-aggressive, when to be that cheater that's looking to sink his teeth into his opponent, and when to just be the slow defensive man.
Yeah, it was just multiple styles adapted into one map, and that's what champions can do. They're not kind of going into a map with one single game plan, and that's kind of what k1llsen's almost like making a hallmark at this stage, where depending on the time, depending on where he is, he'll kind of just switch it up. In this case, it was very back and forth, to say the least at the beginning of this map, and impossible to count out either side, and that was one of the more exciting things here. It's just, once the momentum began, as always seems to be the way with k1llsen, once momentum shifts, it's very hard to take him off that pedestal, and coollerz falling victim to it once again. But again, how many situations are we having here where coollerz is the one springing the trap, coollerz is the one kind of getting that vertical position, and k1llsen's just left with his pants down? It's almost never happening. It's always one-sided, and I just think that's just coming down to awareness. k1llsen just seems to be that next level ahead all the time.
Yeah, he really does. It's just, I don't know, he's got this next level foresight for what he wants to do and how he needs to approach situations to be able to come out on top, and it just works so well for him. coollerz putting up a good fight here though in the early game to be able to keep it close and consistent, although it was quickly just taken away from him like a rug swept out from under his feet. All of a sudden k1llsen was just on a roll and there was no stopping him.
Yeah, there were a couple of frags near the end there we've seen the replays that kind of felt like a little bit unnecessary, almost like strange, coollerz putting himself... I mean, I guess in the heat of the moment in a bad position, that LG duel was just ridiculous, by the way. And just moments like this, where coollerz being careful, bam, death from above, and you just lost all of your life, and they're going straight back into another frag. And in these 1v1 scrambles, where it just came down to one rocket, again, it was always k1llsen getting that final shot, which just comes down to accuracy, if anything. And I guess, well, look, the 2-0 has just come to be. k1llsen is going to take the win over coollerz, but now, as always, the eternal question is going to be how much. We are going into our third map. It's going to be Molten Falls. If I've got it right, I believe it should be Visor versus Sorlag. Yeah. I think the Sorlag pick's coming out from coollerz, so we're going to be, there's potential to deny the 3-0, and at this stage, coollerz and k1llsen are both way up there in the leaderboard, so any amount of points here will be better than nothing, but neither player super dependent on it just yet.
No, not really, but obviously, any additional points are going to be a nice little juicy bonus to throw in your back pockets. I'm sure k1llsen's going to want to try and walk away with a full 3-0 here. I wouldn't be surprised if he did at this point, as he just seems to have such an edge in anything he does versus coollerz at the minute, but all of that will be decided right here right now as we're getting in. Map 3, k1llsen versus coollerz. k1llsen, he has looked so formidable, but can he do it once again?
I'm just looking at how things are going, and I'm almost wondering, does coollerz have like some kind of mental block versus k1llsen? Like, it's bizarre. It just feels like coollerz just can't get the edge. They seem, for the most part, throughout a lot of the maps, kind of evenly matched, and then it always just escapes the king, and I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how their rivalry unfolds. These are two of the greatest Quake players of our time. Okay, here comes the fight. Sprung. Is he going to go up the jump pad? Nah, he's not a madman. He's not a madman. He wants to stay safe. However, piercing sight and a rail. Springs the trap, catches him, but he eats a lot of damage. Avoids the spit, and he misses the rail because he's more focused on trying to survive, you know. Oh.
The love tap on the way out to really soften up k1llsen, leave him with not too much sustain at all. But he is still looking to try and be a bit of a sneaky beaver at this point. He's in the elevated angle. He does have the railgun primed and ready. He won't actually get the tag across though. Instead backs off and starts to reposition, looking to see what he can actually scavenge here if the Mega's going to be coming up anytime soon. It's 3 seconds off. Fires out the warning rockets. He's caught in a kerfuffle. It is do or die. He had to fully commit to that. He does lose it, concedes the Mega, and puts coollerz in a nice opening position.
Awkward position as well. There was a lot of avenues. He could have shot a rocket, and there's lots of ways coollerz could have gone. Definitely wasn't a done deal. Those rockets would have hit their mark. So, expecting a lot of what probably was never going to happen in that instance. Well played there from coollerz to run in near Mega, and now he actually misses the combo, and he's punished. That is a drop and a half. That is so unfortunate. In many ways, that should have been completely guaranteed, but he misses it, and in the downtime, it's snapped away 1-1. That's the kind of frag that makes coollerz shake his head, no doubt.
Yeah, that's going to leave him scratching his scalp, confused about what exactly has gone on. And it really will make it awkward. 2 minutes already gone now. Bare miss on the rail. The follow-up at least is going to tag him, soften him up ever so slightly and make him a little bit more supple as it carries on. Waiting. Rocket, primed and ready. Fires him out. It's a nice tag. He's still just hunting at this point. k1llsen, he looks like he's ready for a scrap.
And he's got a good advantage too. Lots of entry damage and a wonderful position to try and undo the damage of this Mega, of which he's now going to take uncontested. The piercing sight gives him the knowledge. coollerz, thankfully there was no shot, so coollerz hasn't got a lot of information as to whether he used piercing sight or not. It would be fair to assume that during some of these pickups there may be, but you have no set in stone information if there's no follow-up shot. So now coollerz in a bit of a question mark position.
Although they're tied, so it's fine for now. They can afford to not really battle if they don't have to. Well, it just comes down to when you have the best advantage for the overall attack. At this point, k1llsen just roaming around, adding more and more to his stack. That's going to be the visor going out, meaning he can shoot out the warning shots from the tri-bolt. He knows exactly where coollerz is, and he is waiting to try and headhunt him.
Always interesting on Molten Pools though, seeing the style. What a perfect, and I mean perfect, direct rocket right round the corner. And he follows up with a rail. More than enough to scare him away. But thanks for that rocket boost, he can actually challenge this Mega a little bit. coollerz looks to go in and out, taking as little damage as he can. I actually love that shot from k1llsen to just say, you know what? I'm still confident you're going to take that Mega. Let me just try and undo some of that damage and press the advantage. One issue coollerz has is that his armor wasn't really super amazing. And if k1llsen has one good angle here, he's still not going to be too scared about the stack. coollerz, he's playing one of the heavier champs. The stack is always something you have to think about. But if you get these wonderful entry shots that k1llsen's landing, direct rocket into exact rail, that's a lot of damage that most champions cannot afford to take under any circumstances.
Absolutely. It makes it so rough for you. And now with 6 minutes on the clock and all of these thoughts pumping through his mind through both of our contestants here, it's just a matter of how are they going to approach this one. k1llsen trying to burn down the clock, hasn't been overextending and exaggerating anything here as he knows he doesn't really have to too much. Instead, playing around the high ground, waiting to go for the prediction-based play. Off the back of the visor, he has a good idea of roughly where coollerz should be at this point as he sets up holding towards the Mega, seeing if he's going to come bouncing his way around and can get off a rail for free. Nothing is going to greet him just yet and drop down through over on the jump pad though. He finally gets the information of what coollerz is up to.
Has a little bit on the Mega while he was waiting to see if the heavy got taken instead. It was only when he was sure he went through. There's the jump pad. Okay, immediately Acid Spit's been forced. That's going to be one element of the fight that might help him out. Piercing sight comes through. Can he land a rail? He misses the shot. Also at the same time compromising his position. He's given himself away. Cooler opting to run away. And 5-minute warning. Only 2 frags on the table. Much slower change of pace here. The fight towards Mega. Cooler already in and out. Has his escape route planned. Not making the same mistakes he's made before where he just has no backup plan. You know, he gets caught in a bad position, can't escape, gives up a frag. That's not really happening at the moment. He may not be getting frags here, but he's not giving up a bunch either, which is normally the problem he has versus k1llsen.
Is that both of them have only been fully committing when they absolutely have to, when they feel like it's a necessary fight that they are going to come out on top in, meaning that it's been a much slower style of gameplay here compared to what we've had previously into this series between them both already. Is going to be the pickup on the Mega, though, to put k1llsen in a huge position in terms of the stack. Cooler, fairly similar. How is he going to approach it? Still just lurking in the meantime. Hiding in the rafters, waiting in the shadows. k1llsen, a sneaking suspicion, though, realizes what he's up to.
But no risk necessary going up that jump pad. You know, there's so many players out there that would go, man, hit the entry damage, I've got stack, let's go in and let's go in. But you have to understand, always risk assess. And that's one of the big things. Springs the trap, gets a lot of damage on the rockets too. Looking to get the rail and the piece combo all the way through. That was absolutely insane. Finally lands the kill. Runs right into an angry Cooler who's looking to finish the job, but the rockets come through again, but he's confident Cooler's not got the job done. He's just spawned near rail. What else is he going to use?
And this is where things go really from 0 to 100 real quick right now from k1llsen. You know once he gets ramped up, he's just going to carry on going. He never, ever stops. He just sprints and sprints and sprints. So at this point, that's what's happening. Free kill advantage now for him. We're coming up to the 7-minute mark. He is bunny hopping his way around the map like an absolute lunatic, and he looks to just decimate Cooler at any given opportunity. He connects the rail, follows it up with a rocket as he drops down. It might not kill him just yet, but now he knows exactly where Cooler is.
I'm absolutely in love with k1llsen's like tactical aggression. You know, how he can be this incredibly passive and slow player. And the moment it's in his favor, he will just go through. You know, Cooler did manage to get the refrag, and that's very, very important. Danger is that he's weak. You know, even with all this armor, he gets hit by one rail, he's in a pretty bad position. Fortunately, k1llsen spawned on the opposite end. But, that said, when k1llsen smells blood, he goes in to a degree that we just don't really see from anyone else. And I think that's what makes him so scary, this level of play. You feel like things are slow, you think like things are, you know, back and forth, one frag here and there. You die once, and he gets a good gauge on where your spawn is, you're dead. And that will just continue to amplify. Cooler has control, but yeah, he's got control, but what's he going to do with it? k1llsen now has time on his side. He's got a 2-frag lead. He just got completely, you know, 2-piece comboed there before we even had a chance to do anything.
It is really quite worrying. It's coming up to 8 minutes here. It just seems like it's such a stalemate. The movement that's coming through from k1llsen is he's just basically toying with his opponent the whole time. He's just been running around, causing these constant delay tactics. The Sorlac Spit's going to come across, though. He does actually get involved, finally, Ryan. As damage is coming out, but it all goes wrong at the last second. Oh, it's embarrassing.
I really feel for Cooler about that one. He was looking for that tactical rocket jump, gets some LG, but he's just getting forced away. He can't go back up there. It's a suicide task. And that one, I feel like that one missed rocket jump just put the distance in between them, you know. Like, he needed to be able to go in. That was a delicious rail. You need more than that, mate. He has to go in and try and land some more. Misses the shot. k1llsen's not going to make it easy now. Runs away, makes himself able to tank at least one more rail. And as we go into 1 minute 15, how much is one missed rocket jump going to cost someone? That's what I'm about to wonder here. And we're probably going to have our answer soon.
That's the thing. Could this be the whole series at this point now decided off the back of that? The fact he's going to get those bonus points and walk away with a 3-0 just from these last few plays alone. Cooler, he wants to make the game changer. He's still got a minute. It's entirely possible. If he gets himself a good spawn, which it looks like he has, he could do so much here and force this out to a sudden death to deny the potential bonus points for k1llsen. He's bouncing his way around, though. He is quick on the hunt.
However, this fight has to go in his favor. If he loses this fight, it's going to be over. Misses the rail, and that might be the death sentence. He's so weak that chasing it, I mean, he has no choice, right? But he's very weak. Watch out for those rockets. One of those, even near him at this health, will take him out, and he has to waste some time trying to re-heal. I wonder if that one fight not going his way may have sealed the deal. He's got to ask for a miracle, that he can get k1llsen without taking any damage. The time he's taking here to restack, he ain't got time to wait for that Mega anymore. He's only got 10 seconds on the clock, and k1llsen is so incredible. incredibly stacked. I feel like this might be all she wrote. He's gone in for the Mega, the big play, but he has no idea where k1llsen is. He had the big decision, he chose to go for Mega, and then go for a rocket jump, maybe just so happened to catch him around a corner. That was a big decision. I understand it, but unfortunately, it just was not the decision to make in the end. Well done to k1llsen, who gets himself a 3-0 versus coollerz.
Yeah, again, just the understanding there, the approach from the game that, I don't know, it's just got that k1llsen style to it. There's no one else that does it quite like k1llsen, right? It's just the weird way that he approaches the game that seems to work so well for him. Every scenario is already pre-dissected before he's even got there. It was just on the ball, really. That's the way to put it. Everything was just precise.
Yeah, and it wasn't as crazy one-sided. It just came down to, you know, those moments right in the final ends of the map where got to make a big decision, right? And the decision at the end to sit around, restack back up, ultimately going straight, like, face first into k1llsen at, like, 30 health was never going to work, so it's understandable that he stuck around and got the small health bubbles, but he took about an extra 5 or so seconds to get the Mega, and I think that might have been the last minute error where, you know, you understand why he made the choice. If I get this Mega, and I rocket jump, and I go through a teleporter, and I just so happen to catch him, I've now got a really decent stack where I might actually be able to take this fight. You know, during that time, it was safe to assume k1llsen's going to be restacking as well. So he tried to make himself as ready for a fight as possible. Unfortunately, I mean, you just had to bank on just having him there round a corner, which was, you know, pretty low percentage. But if he had the good odds and the stars aligned, then he would have had it and evened it out. Maybe, you know, he still would have had to take the fight, you know, if he saw k1llsen. Yeah. But, you know, a risk worth taking. Didn't quite work out, but always good to see that the final map wasn't super one-sided at all. No. But, I mean, the tale continues. The rivalry of k1llsen and coollerz. k1llsen continues to just have that upper hand on coollerz every single time they play. And I wonder if that's ever going to change. Are we finally going to see a big, you know, substantial win come out from coollerz versus k1llsen? Because I think that's going to be quite a demon to conquer.
I think so. It's one for confidence as well. Once you actually overthrow after it happening so many times, you kind of just reset yourself. That, you know, that mental block or that cloud that's over you is just gone instantly. You're back into it. You realise just how powerful you actually are. But I think like that actually could take some time, as k1llsen just looks so talented right now. It's ridiculous, that individual approach that he has, right? It's just the difference of looking at someone else to just looking at k1llsen coming into the server. Everything he does just looks beautiful.
The weird thing, though, is that seeing k1llsen play this way, it's crazy to think that he's actually not undefeated in QPL. You know, in these weekly broadcasts, he lost to Wenger. You know, that's such a big win for Wenger. Obviously, now having his bye week and he's not playing this week, so he's got some time to relax, watch the games, but know that he's looking real comfortable. But k1llsen, you know, he is the world champion, and I'm sure we'll be seeing him do well in future weeks. Really excited to see what he brings to the LAN, and just in time, we have got the leaderboard to show you guys and see what the results today have actually meant and where we're currently sitting. So, thanks to the bye week, and, you know, let's not forget, k1llsen did actually have a bye week in week number 1, so now we are starting to re-add a little bit. He's actually sitting on top of Wenger. k1llsen now with that number 1 spot. Razy number 3, coollerz at number 4, and that is one hell of a top 4, I think. Very accurate of how people are currently playing too.
Yeah, I think so. It's giving us a very fierce top 4 right now, the way it's shaping up. Obviously, with Zron in a close follow-up there on the 5th as well. The upper echelons are definitely deserved of how the games are going, and it's really starting to shape up with such a competitive scene here from the EU CIS boys. All of them have been looking deadly. k1llsen, though, just a cut above right now.
Absolutely, and then we have to draw attention to the bottom of the leaderboards, right? Avec and Garpy are sitting there with not a lot, and I know Sparty's down there as well. It is just the, you know, sometimes it can be frags that matter, hence, you know, Sparty being one cut above, but not much. Tox having his bye week this week, so that's obviously why he's there. Didn't have a week to play this time round. But yeah, we're starting to shape up and kind of see exactly where our players are starting to be matched up against, and it's an accurate representation, I think, of EU and CIS. We have to now open up the storylines of the Challenger circuit and the players that are at risk of going into relegation territory. They're going to have some severe competition to take down. And with that this week, k1llsen actually is sitting there with 65 points, number 1 of the world ranking. Remember, Rafa actually has a bye week this week, so he's not going to get any points, which means that this week, it's pretty safe to say that k1llsen's going to maintain himself at number 1, which I'm sure if you're k1llsen right now, I mean, that's one hell of a smile on his face.
Yeah, he's secured himself a power play position where he is going to be looking dominant, but it also means now he has basically put a massive target on his back for the other players to really start to run ahead and try and duke themselves back into the action. But obviously that feud between k1llsen and coollerz constantly continuing, with them being 1 and 3 from the EUCIS, so things are fierce out there. By no means is this an easy competition.
Exactly, and it was a great week to see what EU and CIS is continuing to bring to the table, and it's really nice actually to kind of see these personal journeys they're going through. k1llsen staying at #1, world champion, now actually really emulating that in the world ranking too, where he has that just flat out #1 spot. But now things dive into some interesting territory for different reasons. We are going to be transitioning into the Americas portion of the Quake Pro League, and it brings with it a giant question mark. With nosfer and Rafa not playing this week, I think the points are going to be somewhat of a free-for-all, because I think there's a bigger concentration of the Americas players that are, I think, more battling to just make sure they can stay within the mid-level compared to the Dahang and the Rafa. And now, because of results, the nosfer. nosfer's losses have come from Rafa, who is one of the greatest players in the world. But nosfer has looked more than capable versus everyone he's encountered so far. And yeah, with Rafa and him out of the picture this week, it's going to be a bit of a battle to see, can people climb themselves out of that bottom 2? Because we are now starting to look at who runs the risk of being relegated, which is both juicy, but also just quite sad, really.
It is. It's a bit of a sad state of affairs, but overall I feel like this one has already been jam-packed. We've been given so many little treats throughout the EUCIS show, and of course there's still more to come.
It is indeed. We're going to go for a quick break and transition over to the Americas. Thanks for sticking with us so far. This is the Quake Pro League week #5, and we'll be back after a few minutes.